Chosen one, there are moments in life when the weight on your shoulders feels unbearable. No hand reaches out, no voice speaks for you, and yet you stand, alone, surrounded by silence. You resist the pull of fear, the temptation to give in. That kind of resistance is not weakness, it is the secret forge where an uncommon strength is born. Even heaven takes notice when a soul refuses to break. In the Shaolin tradition, solitude is not punishment, it is training ground. For centuries, monks have endured long nights in silence, pressing through hunger, cold, and the unrelenting voice of doubt. Their goal was not survival alone, but transformation. They learned that the real battle is not outside, it is within, and only those who face it without flinching discover the steel hidden in their spirit. Today, I will guide you through the hidden teachings behind this path. You will learn why standing alone can be more powerful than standing with a crowd. You will see how pressure, when met with discipline and awareness, becomes a teacher greater than comfort ever could. I will share with you why resisting endlessly is not enough, and what secret wisdom turns resistance into mastery. Stay with me until the end, because this path holds lessons often ignored. Lessons that reveal how solitude sharpens clarity, how discipline anchors the restless mind, and why even God is moved when a human soul endures against all odds. This is Shaolin Soulfire, a place where ancient wisdom burns bright in the modern world. I welcome you to walk this path with me. If these words speak to you, subscribe now and continue this journey of self-mastery and awakening. There is a moment every morning when the body whispers, "Stay in bed." The world outside is still quiet, the weight of yesterday still heavy. This is the first battle, not against the blanket, not against sleep, but against the part of you that seeks the easy way. Discipline begins here, not as punishment, not as denial, but as an agreement you make with your higher self. In Shaolin, this agreement is sacred. Monks rise before the sun, stepping into the chill of dawn when the body would rather remain warm. They train their stances, hold their postures, steady their breath. Hours of repetition, silence, and sweat are not forced upon them. They are chosen because each act of discipline sharpens awareness and builds a body that will not betray the spirit. Think of discipline as a ritual, not a burden. The ringing of the temple bell is not simply a command to move, it is a reminder of purpose. Timing matters. Routine matters. When the mind and body fall into rhythm, energy flows without wasted effort. This is how discipline becomes freedom. But here lies the danger. Routine without purpose becomes empty. It hardens into hollow habit. A monk does not rise early just to prove endurance. He rises to align with the rhythm of nature, to train strength, to awaken clarity. The purpose breathes life into the repetition. Without it, discipline becomes brittle, like a blade with no edge. So every act of discipline must be tied to the deeper why. Every early morning, every breath held, every hour of silence is a covenant, a promise that you are walking toward mastery, not drifting in circles. This is the way discipline ceases to feel like punishment and instead becomes the path to freedom. The mind is like a restless river. Thoughts rush in, emotions rise and fall, sometimes gentle, sometimes violent. Most people are carried away without even realizing it. One moment they are calm, the next they are drowning in anger, doubt, or fear. But awareness changes everything. When you learn to see the river without jumping in, you begin to master yourself. In the Shaolin way, this awareness is trained through stillness and movement alike. In sitting meditation, the monk rests in silence, following the breath as it enters and leaves. Thoughts appear like clouds, emotions stir like wind, yet he does not chase them, he watches. In that watching, the grip of thought weakens and the storm loses its power. But meditation does not end on the cushion. In movement, the same principle applies. Each stance, each strike, each step becomes a mirror. The body reveals tension, the mind tried to hide. Fear shows itself in hesitation, doubt in unsteady footing, pride in unnecessary force. By noticing without judgment, the practitioner turns every motion into a lesson. This is mindfulness in its truest form. Not escape, but presence. When pain comes, it is felt, but not resisted. When criticism strikes, it is heard, but not allowed to poison. When doubt rises, it is observed, not obeyed. The mind becomes a sky, vast and open, while thoughts and feelings pass like weather. To live this way is to stop being a prisoner of inner storms. Discipline keeps you on the path, but awareness keeps you free within it. The world will test you, people will provoke you, and your own fears will whisper against you. Yet if you remain the witness, steady and awake, no storm can take away your center. In Shaolin teaching, the body is not seen as separate from the spirit. It is the vessel that carries the mind, the temple through which energy flows. To neglect the body is to neglect the very ground on which the spirit stands. This is why training begins not with lofty philosophy, but with movement, breath, and stance. When a monk lowers into horse stance, the thighs begin to burn. The spine is tested, the mind starts to resist. Yet this posture is more than exercise. It is a lesson. The body reveals impatience, weakness, imbalance long before the mind admits them. Holding still becomes a mirror that shows exactly where discipline is missing. With each breath, the monk learns endurance, and with each minute longer, the spirit grows steadier. Qigong takes this further. Gentle, flowing movements align breath with intention, awakening the channels of energy within. When practiced with care, it restores balance where the body has tightened and clears the fog that settles over the mind. Breathing becomes more than survival. It becomes communion with life itself. In this way, training the body is training the spirit. A tense shoulder can reveal unspoken anger. A slouched spine can signal defeat. An unsteady stance mirrors an unsteady mind. But as the body learns structure, rhythm, and balance, the spirit follows. Posture becomes clarity. Breath becomes peace. Movement becomes prayer. The wisdom is simple yet profound. The physical and the spiritual are not two. To strengthen one is to nourish the other. Every stance held, every form repeated, every breath mastered is a step toward inner alignment. Through the body, the spirit learns its true shape, and through the spirit, the body remembers its sacred purpose. Growth never arrives wrapped in comfort. It arrives as fire, as weight, as silence. Discomfort is the workshop where transformation takes place. Pain stretches the limits of the body. Failure humbles the pride of the mind. Loneliness sharpens the call of the spirit. These are not enemies. They are teachers that speak in a language many refuse to hear. A Shaolin novice once believed his strength came from perfecting movements he already knew. But when the master held him longer in a low stance until his legs trembled, the truth revealed itself. The shaking was not a sign of weakness alone. It was the signal of where he needed to grow. Resistance became the compass pointing toward mastery. When discomfort comes, the ordinary impulse is to flee or fight, to run from the ache, to distract from the silence, to harden against the sting of failure. But this only deepens the prison. The path of mastery demands something different, to meet discomfort face to face, neither collapsing under it nor denying its presence. In that meeting, endurance is born. Loneliness, for example, can feel like abandonment. Yet within solitude, the inner voice grows louder. The fog of outside influence clears. Pain too can feel merciless, but it strips away illusion and forces presence into the body. Even failure, bitter as it may be, teaches humility and perseverance more deeply than victory ever could. To welcome discomfort does not mean surrender. It means standing firm in the fire, letting it temper rather than consume. Each struggle, when carried with awareness, becomes a forge. And out of that forge walks a person no longer fragile, no longer afraid of the test, someone shaped, sharpened, and strengthened by the very forces they once resisted. The more tightly you fight against something, the more it seems to follow you. Anger, fear, even the memory of failure, when resisted, they cling like shadows. But when embraced with awareness, their power begins to dissolve. What was once a chain becomes a lesson, and what was once heavy becomes light. Shaolin wisdom teaches detachment, yet not in the way many misunderstand it. Detachment is not coldness nor indifference. It is spaciousness. It is the ability to hold life with an open hand instead of a clenched fist. When you grasp too hard, at success, at praise, at reputation, you trap yourself in fear of losing what was never truly yours. But when you hold lightly, you allow things to flow as they are meant to. A story is told of a monk who carried water each morning up a steep path. One day the jar slipped from his grip and shattered. For a moment his heart burned with frustration, but then he realized this jar was never his to keep. It was only borrowed from the earth, destined one day to return. His grip loosened, and with it, his spirit felt free. Letting go is not weakness, it is a deeper strength than clinging ever provides. To release the ego's endless hunger for recognition, for validation, for control, is to taste true freedom. Praise will come and fade. Judgment will rise and pass. The world's opinions are as shifting as the wind. What remains steady is the mind that refuses to be enslaved by them. To live with detachment is to live in balance, not rejecting the world, but no longer bound by it, not running from experience, but meeting it without chains. This spaciousness allows the spirit to move freely, clear, and unburdened, like the sky itself. Water never resists the vessel that holds it. Pour it into a bowl, and it becomes the bowl. Spill it on the ground, and it finds its path through stone and soil. Strike it with force, and it yields without breaking, yet over time it carves valleys from mountains. This is the lesson of water, soft yet unshakable, flexible yet unstoppable. Resistance alone can harden the heart. A rigid tree in a storm snaps where a reed bends and survives. Spiritual mastery is not about standing immovable at all costs, but about knowing when to yield, when to flow, and when to hold firm. This balance is what allows one to endure without losing harmony. In Shaolin practice, this adaptability is trained through form. Movements are not fixed poses carved in stone, but flowing patterns that respond to pressure. A stance teaches grounding, but also transition. A strike teaches power, but also release. Each form reminds the body and mind that strength lies not in stiffness, but in rhythm, the ability to adjust without losing center. A monk sparring in the courtyard does not resist every strike with brute force. Instead, he shifts, redirects, absorbs, and returns. His calm does not come from overpowering, but from flowing with what arises. In this way, adaptability becomes a deeper kind of strength, one that cannot be cornered or broken because it does not cling to a single shape. To be water is to meet life the same way. Circumstances will shift, pressure will come, and storms will rise. The one who clings rigidly will break. The one who flows will endure. Flexibility is not weakness, it is mastery hidden within softness, the quiet strength that nothing can shatter. There is a state beyond words, beyond the noise of constant judgment. The mind, usually busy weaving stories, falls silent. Thoughts slow, labels dissolve, and what remains is a clear, open space. In the Shaolin tradition, this is called no mind. It is not emptiness in the sense of nothingness, it is emptiness in the sense of freedom. No mind is the moment when a sword moves without hesitation, not from calculation but from presence. It is when the archer releases the arrow and there is no eye aiming, only the arrow flying true. In these moments, action arises without interference from fear, ego, or memory. What flows forth is pure, like water running from the mountain spring. Reaching this state is not easy. The mind clings tightly to its chatter, always replaying the past or rehearsing the future, but through discipline, hours of meditation, forms repeated until they dissolve into muscle memory, the practitioner learns to step aside. The self, with all its worries and demands, no longer stands in the way. When no mind takes over, courage reveals itself. Not the courage born of pride, but the quiet bravery that appears when nothing else clouds the moment. A person facing fear with no mind does not posture, does not flee, does not calculate how they will be seen. They simply act, pure and unfiltered. Such moments carry a rare beauty. They show the essence of the human spirit when stripped of pretense. Even heaven, it is said, pauses to take notice. For when a soul moves with no mind, free of grasping and fear, it reflects something eternal, an echo of the divine. shining through the fragile form of a human being. There is a silence that heals, and there is a silence that corrodes. To know the difference is part of mastery. Solitude, when chosen with intention, becomes a sacred ground for reflection and growth. Isolation, when born of escape, becomes a prison of the mind. Shaolin monks withdraw often, yet never to vanish from the world. They rise before dawn to meditate in the stillness of mountains, not to hide from life, but to meet it more clearly. Their solitude is not an escape from responsibility, it is preparation for it. Every hour spent in silence, every day of training away from distraction is aimed at alignment with discipline, clarity, and service. But when solitude is twisted by self-pity, it loses its power. Isolation closes the heart, feeding bitterness and detachment. It becomes a wall built to keep pain away, yet it traps the spirit within. This kind of silence does not sharpen, it dulls. It does not heal, it festers. Healthy solitude is different. It allows the wounds of the past to breathe, the mind to settle, the spirit to hear what noise has buried. In the quiet, truth rises. Patterns are revealed. The deeper voice, often drowned by the world, becomes clear. From this space, strength grows naturally. The question is not whether you walk alone, but why. If the reason is escape, the path will narrow into emptiness. If the reason is growth, solitude becomes a forge. It sharpens discipline, reveals purpose, and prepares the spirit for service beyond itself. To step into solitude with awareness is to walk into a mirror, one that shows you who you are and who you are called to become. Victory over others is temporary. Victory over oneself endures. Self-mastery is not about bending the world to your will, it is about steadying the storms within. Thoughts that scatter, impulses that pull, fears that paralyze, these are the true opponents. To overcome them is to stand on unshakable ground. The Shaolin path teaches that the greatest battle is fought not in the courtyard, but in the mind. A student may learn countless strikes, yet still crumble if anger controls him. He may build great strength, yet still fall if fear whispers louder than his discipline. But the one who governs his inner world walks with quiet authority, untouched by praise or blame. There is a story of a monk challenged to a fight by a soldier. Instead of resisting, the monk simply bowed, calm and unmoved. The soldier, expecting aggression, grew restless, then ashamed. The monk's strength lay not in overpowering his opponent, but in refusing to be pulled into his chaos. This is self-mastery, steadfastness that no outside force can shake. True power arises when approval is no longer the fuel of your actions. When you no longer chase validation or fear judgment, freedom blooms. You become rooted in your own clarity, no longer swayed by every passing opinion. The world may call you strong or weak, wise or foolish, but your center remains the same. Self-mastery does not demand perfection. It demands presence. To notice the thought before it controls you, to pause before the impulse moves you, to breathe before fear closes your heart. Each moment of awareness is a step toward victory. And in that victory, you discover a power that cannot be given or taken. It is the foundation of your very being. To be called chosen is not a crown of pride. It is a mantle of responsibility. It does not mean you are greater than others, but that you have been tested in silence and endured. It means life has demanded more from you, and in your resistance, you have shown the strength to carry it. In the old traditions, those who withdrew to the mountains or endured hardship were not seen as cursed. They were seen as being prepared. Their solitude became a fire, their struggles a sharpening blade. From such lives came wisdom, not because they sought to be above others, but because they learned to see more deeply into suffering and strength alike. Resistance, when born with awareness, becomes a seed of compassion. The one who has walked through loneliness knows how to comfort the lonely. The one who has faced fear knows how to steady another's trembling heart. The chosen are not lifted for their own sake. They are shaped to guide, to remind, to bring light where others falter. The weight you carried alone was never meant to break you. It was shaping you, tempering you, turning resistance into wisdom and solitude into strength. Every challenge you faced became a hidden teacher. Every moment you refused to collapse was proof of your inner fire. This is the path of transformation, the alchemy of turning pain into clarity, fear into courage, and silence into purpose. Take these lessons with you into daily life. Rise with discipline, breathe with awareness, meet discomfort without fear, and hold lightly the things that come and go. Let your body, mind, and spirit move in harmony. In doing so, you honor not only yourself, but also the greater order that watches and responds when a soul chooses the higher road. May your journey be steady, your spirit unshaken, and your purpose clear. Thank you for walking this path with us. If these words have spoken to you, support our work by liking this video and subscribing to our channel, Shaolin Soulfire. Together we continue the way of inner mastery and awakening. There is also a mystery here. When a human being resists despair, refuses to surrender to hatred, and continues to walk with discipline, something beyond this world seems to take notice. Call it God, call it the universe. There is an alignment that happens. It is as if existence itself leans closer, recognizing a soul that refuses to betray its higher purpose. The path of the chosen is never easy, and it is never meant for vanity. It is a calling to carry weight with dignity, to endure without bitterness, and to transform hardship into teaching. Responsibility, not arrogance, is the mark of being chosen, and it is through this responsibility that the soul shines with its truest strength.